Welcome to Love Light with Dr. Jean Marie Farish. Today, we'll show you how to use the spirit of love and self-worth to improve the connections with everyone else in your life. This program is your weekly gift, and it will keep on giving. You'll see. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jean Marie Farish.
Hello and welcome, everyone. I hope you are all faring well. I'm Dr. Jean Marie, your Love Light host, and we're delighted for you to join us on the Voice America Empowerment Channel, shining love light into your hearts and homes to empower your life with love. We hope our show will be inspirational, enlightening, and empowering. And today, internationally renowned medium and mentor Karen Docherty, a woman with spirit, is joining us today from Scotland on our show, Bridging the Visible and Invisible World. We're more than physical entities. We possess a soul, spirit, destined for eternity. Even though the spiritual realm is invisible to the physical eye, we are connected to it. And what goes on in the spiritual realm directly affects our physical world. Tim Wood, in this article, The Bridge Between the Material and Spiritual World, says the pathway of consciousness leads through the material to the spiritual, and our minds can grasp invisible realities through reference to the visible world. And a bridge exists within us between those worlds. For unresolved grief, spiritual guidance, healing, there is a plethora of abundance in the spiritual realm. The messages, signs, synchronicities are present for us to receive, and I know this to be true with beautiful white feathers that appear in my home, dimes on my path, intuitive hits, and vivid dreams that have guided me on my path. Internationally renowned medium and mentor Karen Docherty, woman of spirit, since the discovery of her abilities, has worked tirelessly to bring the word of spirit to those who need it. From the UK to the USA, from Asia to Australia, clients from all over the world meet with Karen to receive readings, enroll in mentorships, and share a space for discussion on the power of spirit. She offers a breath of fresh air and contemporary approach to psychic work and mediumship based on traditional principles. Filled with love and compassion, Karen stands as one of the most reputable and skilled mediums in modern times. She's the author of 7 Secrets of Successful Parenting and Sibling Rivalry. And Karen's laudable mission in parenting on parenting and family well-being, she helps people find comfort dealing with grief and losses, whether it's separation, breakup, divorce, neonatal death, death by suicide. She helps with mental health issues and empowering teens. Karen really provides support and comfort to families to help them get through tough times. If you have pressing questions and need answers, call now. Karen is taking live calls from listeners. USA callers dial 1-888-346-9141. International callers dial 001-480-553-5760. And we invite you to take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. So now I am pleased to welcome Karen Docherty to our show, Bridging the Visible and Invisible World. And I am so pleased to have you, Karen. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here and share this time and space with you and discussion about everything that you've just mentioned. It's truly amazing.
Thank you so much. I have been so looking forward to our show. Karen, can you tell us a little bit about your work and perhaps when you discovered your abilities?
Yeah, sure. I mean, my work has obviously, gone over all of the years, that maybe 30 years, something like that. But really, like you just said, it started way back when I was a child. And I wasn't aware at that moment in time, that it was mediumship. I just remember maybe as a 3 or 4 year old seeing spirit people and knowing that they were from another world, knowing that they weren't physical beings, but they weren't there to do any harm. They were just part of our world, but most people couldn't see them. And then it wasn't until years later that I was receiving messages and hearing voices and just picking up on things around friends and family that I really wouldn't know otherwise. And then it just became so intense that I spoke to a medium about it, and she told me then, well, you're a medium. And I didn't know that I was a medium at that point. I didn't actually believe that I was, because my grandmother made it so normal for me, because I used to tell her, there's a man in the kitchen, and she used to say, don't worry about that. He's not here to harm you. So for me, it really was part of my childhood and normality. So when I was told, you need to develop your mediumship, I was just astounded at that I could even think that I was a medium. And yet I had followed mediums from the age of around 10, where I used to read books and watch them on TV, and I just so affiliated with mediumship that it all just made sense and fell into place.
Well, we are grateful for your special gifts and talents, and you definitely use them to really help people all over the world with grief and healing. So we are grateful for that. And your empowering work with parenting and family well-being. We know, I think we were talking before the show started about how, people are really going through a lot of challenges and family issues. How did you become interested in that particular area? Because you do so much for bereavement counseling and, helping teens and mental health issues. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, it's just really, for me, mediumship is more than about a connection to receive communication as such. So a lot of my work does concentrate on doing readings and giving guidance from, guides and helpers and whatever the people here in this world need. And a lot of my time is spent doing that, which I completely love, and I'm very passionate about doing that side of things. But also it occurred to me that, mediumship is healing. Mediumship covers lots of different areas. And I think that when people know you're a medium, they do expect it to be about just that connection to whoever they have on the other side and bring messages from them. But for me, it was really about helping people go through grief. It was for the communication side and the demonstrating and the evidential side of mediumship, but it was also about just holding space for healing and making sure that if I could help someone, if I could talk to someone about their grief or help them with emotions that they were dealing with to do with that, or even questions about what happens on the other side and why are we here and everything kind of pertaining to that, then it just meant for me that I felt I was doing the service to spirit in a much wider way, which I absolutely love, because if you can help people, if you can give them guidance or words of wisdom or comfort, then that surely comes under mediumship too.
Yes, that's so wonderful. And it's so empowering for others. And as you indicated, mediumship is healing. Tell us about this connection to the invisible spiritual world. Who comes through to guide us? There's a lot of unfinished business with those who passed away, perhaps unresolved guilt. And I know you've written a book on sibling rivalry. Perhaps a loved one has passed on and there were some things left unsaid. Can you tell us more about this connection and who comes through to guide us?
Yeah, of course. Now, our loved ones, for all of us, when we leave this material world, we will go to the spirit side of life. Now, when we go there, we can still make that connection, but it's not a physical connection. So in this side of life, we don't really feel this connection often, and we feel it's very final when someone passes away. And if there is unresolved issues, or if maybe it was a traumatic passing for the person, we just feel like we are left with that grief, with that feeling of unanswered questions, or not being able to ever hold that conversation again. And I think that causes lots of trauma for people. Whereas on the other side of the veil, when spirit come through, like if you have a father in the spirit side, for instance, and he comes through, he will come and bring what is needed for his loved one here. He will say the right things. He will bring the evidence, because mediumship's about evidence and communication is about evidence. So it's not my place to kind of say, oh, I've got your father here and he's telling you to move house and telling you to, meet that person for this relationship and, give guidance in that sense. It's more of an evidential thing of him saying, this is who I was in this lifetime. This is what I bring here. This is the evidence I offer you. I was with you today when you walked through the park and you were speaking to me. It has to be evidential so that the person can actually feel the presence of him in their own life. And that creates healing on both sides of things. But anyone can come forward and communicate. It might be someone from 15 years ago in your life that maybe you don't expect to come forward, but they have something to say. There's maybe something that person in the spirit side wants to say and bring forward. So really there is no set pattern, if you like, to mediumship or connecting with those that have crossed over. It's every time I do it, it surprises me. Every time I do it, I think, wow, that was an amazing healing transformation that happened within that hour or, however long it was. And it never shocks me or surprises me, because I know that healing does have to take place on both sides. So like we experience grief here, the spirit person also experiences grief, albeit they know where they are, they know that the connection's there and that they can stay with us, but they too have to grieve for their physical life. If someone has crossed over quickly, for instance, and unexpectedly, they have to come to terms with the fact that they're no longer physical, that they will never physically hug their children again, for instance. They have to come to terms with that emotionally too. So really the grief does go for both sides of the veil, but it is a very healing process.
That is so powerful. So people have so many regrets. If I've only had just answered that call, or I should have been there. So many regrets that people live with, guilt and shame and so forth. And what you're saying is that there is healing on both parts, right? On both ends.
Absolutely. And I think that's what it has to be. And I think that, again, I feel that sometimes because of TV and because of certain platforms, mediumship is seen as something that's very instant, something that, you go to a medium, you get messages from your loved one and they give you guidance and that's it. But it's not. It's really more about the healing. It's really more about uplifting someone. So if you have a mother in the spirit side and she comes forward to speak to her daughter, that daughter will go away feeling lighter, uplifted, comforted, and healed in some respect. And so the mother feels that too. The mother in the spirit side will also feel uplifted, empowered, and healed because she got to speak to her daughter. So the relationship, continues even from the other side. It will always continue. If there's a bond of love, then that bond is not broken, and that mother or father or child will still want to make their loved one feel them and be aware of them.
That is so powerful. Who was it? Kubler-Ross, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross says that death was another phase of life. So our loved ones is always available. How do they communicate with us? And I know you're a medium, Karen, and you channel the messages, but I know for me, I've received feathers, and recently, a nice, beautiful, shiny dime just showed up in my home, and messages are there for us. Can you enlighten our listeners on how our deceased loved ones, or in the spirit realm, our angels, communicate with us, and how can we be open to receiving those messages?
Yeah, well, I think you've just said that perfectly, in the fact that we do have to be open to realizing that it is a sign, that it is a message for us. And you mentioned feathers and the dime, and these are common ones that people receive. Now, it doesn't mean because they're common signs that everyone gets them. So they are still sacred. But what I mean by that is it's well reported, that people receive feathers and dimes. And another one is birds, certain birds in the garden and things, and these are very, they're very sacred signs, but nevertheless, they're more known. But on top of that, I think what we have to do is recognize that if we feel our loved one, if we think we feel them, then we must believe that. Or if we have a dream of them where we felt we were speaking with them in that dream, then we need to believe that. And the more open we are, the more we will understand that connection is there. Because our mind will jump in and tell us that it's our imagination. So if you feel your loved one with you, your mind will automatically say, well, no, not really. You were thinking of that person. So that's why they came, that's why you felt they were there. And our mind is there to protect us. So it doesn't understand. That's not a physical thing. So it tells us that it's not real when in fact it is. So you do have to be open. And a good way to do that is to always make sure that you speak to your loved ones. Always make sure that you take just 2 minutes out of your day to, quieten the mind and just be centered and aligned. And you will feel your loved ones come forward. And when you do see things like feathers or, dimes or any of these more common ones, pick it up and say, thank you for leaving that for me, because that loved one knows that you've got that, and really for them, then they're overjoyed that they got that message through.
That's beautiful, because we doubt, or second guess. And of course, I try to stay open, but I think that's a good message for listeners. I shared before that I was going through a hard time, and once, this car behind me had a message that was so empowering. And I was like, my goodness, that really touched my spirit because it really spoke to what I needed at that time. But my eyes focused on the car tag, in front of me with that message. And it uplifted me instantly.
Yes.
The tag said, have faith.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. And really, we have to remember that because our spirit loved ones are not physical, they have to just influence our mind. So they influence us to look at that right at that moment and receive that message, or turn the radio on and that song's on that connects you right in that moment. And it really is an influence from spirit, and we have to believe that.
Yes. And even scents. What about scents? The smells.
Another amazing one, and it will only be you that if you ever smell the perfume of someone in the spirit side, usually no one else in the room will smell that, because what they are doing is they are working with your senses. So you might say to someone, do you smell that perfume? And other people will say no, and you smell it, and then it makes you doubt that, but it shouldn't, because they are working with your senses so that you are aware of them.
All right. That's so wonderful to know. And Karen, we're ready for a brief commercial break. So for our listeners, don't go away. We'll be right back with more on bridging the visible and invisible world with our internationally renowned medium and mentor, woman with spirit, Karen Docherty, joining us today from Scotland. Karen is taking live calls from listeners. Get your questions answered and take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. USA callers, dial 1-888-346-9141. International callers, dial 001-480-553-5760. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Announcing Dr. Jean Marie Farish's new book, Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations. This is the companion piece to Dr. Farish's best-selling book, Living in the Spirit of Love, Our Natural State of Being. Through the new book, we invite you to cultivate a lifestyle of love through daily devotional practices over a 21-day period, following 9 ingredients in the recipe of love. Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations is available on Amazon.com and Balboa Press.
Jean Marie Farish's Center for Conscious Loving, LLC, cultivates a lifestyle of love and wholehearted connections through personal growth, altruistic services, and speaking engagements. Resources include classes, workshops, life care coaching, and creative service projects with an emphasis on cultural arts. Visit the website at drjeanmariefarish-consciousloving.com. That's drjeanmariefarish-consciousloving.com. Or click the link on the Love Light show page.
Best-selling Authors International news honors best-selling authors around the globe. Dr. Jean Marie Farish is featured in the newly released issue of Published Magazine. To have first access to this treasured resource, go to publishedmagazine.com. Vicki Winterton and Dr. Jean Marie Farish have compiled a dynamic book, We're All in This Together, Embrace One Another, an anthology with 24 highly diverse co-authors who share how to spread the message of love, resilience, inclusivity, and compassion. This book is an invaluable source of uplifting, inspiring, and positive insights for spreading positivity in the world. We're All in This Together, Embrace One Another is available on Amazon.com. Be sure to get your copy today. Dr. Jean Marie Farish is proud to announce the release of her new book, Living in the Spirit of Love, Our Natural State of Being, available now at Balboa Press. This book will help you master your life and flourish in love. You'll learn how to become a better and more evolved you. Feel good by making life-affirming choices. Deepen your feelings and expressions of love. Tune in love and sustain the change. And flourish in love and find your joy. Visit BalboaPress.com and search for Living in the Spirit of Love and enjoy Dr. Farish's new book today.
I'm Judy Satori. I'm a spiritual channel and activator of human potential. You might have heard me speaking on the Voice of America on Dr. Jean Farish's show, Love Light, because I've been speaking about the challenges that are besetting all of us right now and how we can surrender but also keep on going. I want to invite you to join my new Facebook group that is devoted to heart-centered connection and unity. Through this Facebook group, you can also join my free access question and answer session with Spirit on the first Wednesday to Thursday of every month. Just search Ascension Community on Facebook to join the group. In this session, I answer questions and transmit energy from Spirit to give you guidance and support. Because life on planet Earth ain't easy right now, and there is so much help from above, from beings of love and light, from multidimensional realities who are actually here with us, wanting to step up and support us. I welcome you to become part of our ongoing group conversation about evolutionary change and how it's affecting us as human beings and affecting our life today. Many blessings to you. You can find out more about me and my work at www.ascensionlibrary.org. Have a wonderful day.
You are tuned in to Love Light with Dr. Jean Marie Farish. Feel free to connect with our program through email or check out our links on Facebook. Reach Jean at Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. That's Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. And now, back to Love Light.
Well, welcome back to Love Light, Living in the Spirit of Love. And if you're just joining us, we are with our internationally renowned medium and mentor, Karen Docherty, woman with spirit, joining us today from Scotland on our show, Bridging the Visible and Invisible World. And again, Karen is taking live calls from listeners. If you want to get your questions answered, USA callers dial 1-888-346-9141. International callers dial 001-480-553-5760. And thank you, Karen, for sharing with us about the spiritual realm and how to be open and connect and how our loved ones come around and how we can really continue resolving those unresolved issues. You know, Karen, many people we just turned, New Year 2023. And many people are searching for answers, and, maybe they're trying to rebuild their lives or struggling with addiction or, trying to recover from COVID. A lot of issues have magnified as a result of COVID, as we shared earlier. What messages can you share with our listeners for this brand new year, 2023?
I think the main thing for me when I look at this year coming is that, every time we go through New Year, we go with Christmas, we go New Year, and then we all make resolutions and we all say this is what's going to happen, and we try to kind of live up to those. And then if we don't, if something goes by the wayside or something happens, then we can kind of beat ourselves up quite badly about that we failed or that we didn't reach those heights that we wanted to reach. And what I would say is, instead of really putting a massive pressure on yourself, just take each day as it comes, but take each day with empowerment. And I think, especially given, like you mentioned, on the back of COVID and everything that happened, people were really in a place where it was hard to kind of propel themselves forward after that. And I know that we've been out of that for a little while now, but still the after effects are there. And as we go forward into this coming year, I think it's important to realise that this is our brand new page. This is the chance to go forward, but not with the pressures, not with saying that we must achieve X, Y, and Z, just taking each day as it comes and living in the moment and just breathing. Because I often see people and hear from people throughout my work that they're worried about something, anxious about something, battling something. There's always things coming from a deep emotional level. And sometimes I feel it's just easy to just sit back and take a breath and wait. Because if you're confused about something, or you're nervous about something, or you're not sure where your path is going, then it's better to stand still and just take that time. And that's something that really I don't feel we do enough of anyway. We don't really stop and just take time for ourselves. So I would, tell anyone in this coming year that be excited about it, be empowered about it, but breathe and enjoy it and be present. And given what I do as well, I'm well aware that things can change in an instant. I'm dealing with families that are going through grief and bereavement all the time. And, none of us really know how it's going to go in that sense. So really we should be, embracing every moment, and even through struggle. When I talk about embracing every moment, it doesn't mean that, everything has to be perfect and, everyone's lives in a good place. Even through our struggle, Spirit really do want us to embrace that struggle and be present within that struggle so that we can battle through that and reach the other side. And then we can understand how far we have come, instead of trying to close ourselves down, push that out, don't talk about that because it's maybe not the best thing to talk about. I would say embrace every part of your life.
Beautiful. And to lighten up, be gentle with yourself, be kind and compassionate with yourself. That's so important. And for me, I always kind of look for beauty, look for something beautiful, create something beautiful, and find the joy in just simple, ordinary moments.
Yeah, because I think sometimes as well, I don't know if you would agree with this too, but I think sometimes that we do try to look for the positives and try to look for the beauty, and we will find it. There's always a way to find that within that moment. But I think sometimes when people are at the depths of despair, maybe through bereavement or through battles of their own, it's hard, isn't it, for people to find that? But I just want to reassure people that from what I know of Spirit and from guides and helpers and Spirit teams that I work with, I know that those moments are there, and, just keep going one foot in front of the other. And my grandmother used to always say to me, this too shall pass. And I have lived with that all my life. And any time I've had difficult times or things I had to get through bereavement and other things, I always say to myself, this too shall pass, because it is so temporary. Everything is temporary and we can get through it.
That's a powerful mantra, this too shall pass. And Karen, you really offer that breath of fresh air. And just based on what you just said, take a breather, right? Because if we don't get out of that, take those moments to refresh our spirit, refresh our body, refresh our souls, you'll be stuck in that grief and then the downward spiral. And I'm not offsetting the fact that grief is central and something that you have to deal with and express. And it's a pretty tough time, but give yourself a break, right?
Yeah, sure.
Some people feel guilty about finding joy in the midst of grief. What are your thoughts about that?
They do. You're so right about that. And I was just going to say there as well that, you know, we are human, although we are spirit and a soul, and we can connect with that and, you know, make that connection strong and empower that. We have to realize too that we are human. We do struggle with human emotions. We do struggle with things. So it's okay to feel those things. And like you said, it's okay to also seek joy in moments where you feel that you're in despair. It's our loved ones in spirit want that for us. And what we have to remember too is that the spirit side of life doesn't have any time. There's no physical time in the spirit realms. So when our loved ones are there, they are beside us, they walk with us, but they don't miss time as such. So for instance, if someone passes over to spirit and it's like 10 years before you pass over, those 10 years in human time and physical time have not been felt by the spirit person. It's like you go back to that exact moment. And I think when I speak with, in particular, parents who have lost children, I will always say, you know, that your child is always going to be your child. And that time that you feel you've missed because they're maybe passed at a younger age, we often tend to go down a route of they're missing, you know, their 16th birthday, they're missing driving a car, and we go through all the things that they should be doing. But what I would, which is quite natural, but what I would say is there is no time. So when you see that child again, it's like there's not been any time missed. And your loved ones will always come forward and say, go and live your life for me. Enjoy it. Go and have the best life you can have, and I will see you again. And they mean that. They absolutely mean that.
That is so interesting. It made me think about my first childhood sweetheart who was killed in a car accident, traumatic, my first experience with death and grief. And, you know, when my mother passed away and we were at her funeral, and all of a sudden this lady came through to me while we were waiting for the limousines to take us to the burial site. And this lady came through screaming this name. And I was like, my God, what's going on? And she came to me and she started talking about him. And it was almost like he came to me through her, and he shared songs that I listened to when he passed away, specific things that only I knew. And I was like, my God, you know, it's like he came through comforting me. And I kind of heard this song over in my head, Bridge Over Troubled Waters. So that was so profound to me.
Oh, that is very profound. And it is something that you can't deny that. You know, there's, like you said, she wouldn't have known any of that. She wouldn't have had that evidence without hearing that from someone. So in that moment, he came through and was able to bring that comfort just by letting you know that there is an afterlife, that this is going to be okay. And that's what spirit want to do. They don't want to come and, you know, give us something to worry about. They want to alleviate our worries. They want to lift us up. They want to heal. And they will do anything to do it. So if they have to work through someone else or influence someone to say a certain thing to you that seems out of the blue or random, that is exactly the way that they will do it.
Beautiful. Well, it made a believer out of me for sure. And let's talk a little bit about people who've lost loved ones, anniversaries, birthdays, holidays, because those are pretty tough times. Do you have any recommendations or advice to offer in terms of how to deal with these anniversaries?
I mean, again, everyone's different, and I think the one thing that you will notice through people who are going through grief is that every single person deals with it so differently, and there's not, a right way and a wrong way. It's just however you deal with it. And as an example, my mother is also in the spirit side, and I don't visit the graveside. For me, it's not for me. I know I can speak to her, and I don't mean I speak to her because I'm a medium. I just know where she is, as I have the faith that she is there, and I know obviously what I do gives me that, but I just know that I can talk to her and have a conversation with her. Now, that doesn't mean I hear her speaking back to me all the time. That's quite rare, but I know that she can hear me. So I have the faith in that. So for me, that's how I connect. Whereas my sister needs to go to the graveside. She needs to put flowers down. She needs to go there to talk to her. And there isn't a right and wrong way. And we've often talked about this, where we have said that, on my mum's birthday, for instance, she goes up and lays flowers and talks to her, and maybe goes out for the day and does something nice that she felt my mum would like. For me, it's more about waking up in the morning and saying, "Happy birthday, Mum. I know where you are, and I hope you have a wonderful time." And I know that she's connecting. So I want to kind of remind people that anniversary dates, birthdays, for instance, things that would have been a joyous occasion here, still make it that celebration. And I think that more and more people now are kind of understanding that. So before, like many years ago, I think people kind of seen it as a mark of respect, and you just have a quiet day maybe, or you just keep that within yourself. Whereas now I think people are more aware that, no, let's celebrate that day. Of course, it's different for anniversary dates of someone's passing. Like my mum passed on the 15th of February, so it's just coming up next week, and already my daughter said, it's Nana's passing date soon. And I said, yes, it is, but we know where she is, and it's fine. And I'm sure she'll give us a little sign that she's here, as she always does. And for me, that's an easier way to deal with it, especially for the kids too. But other people might want to sit in a quiet room and light a candle, or but the one thing I would say is keep talking to them. They are still there, and they do still hear. I say, good morning to my mum every single day. Now, I don't hear her saying good morning back, but I know she can hear me. So it's about giving them what they need as well. And I know on these dates, these specific dates, they still want us to commune with them, to be with them, just to be present and just hold space. And however you do that is right. If you want to sit quietly and do it, it's right. If you want to go out and celebrate, it's right. Whatever is good for you is the best thing.
Yes, it's an individualized process, and whatever you can do, make a nice memory, whether it's a celebration or sitting quietly or whatever. And thank you so much, Karen, for sharing those tips. What about dreams? Do they come through dreams?
Absolutely. Dreams are a big way for spirit to communicate, because remember, when we are falling asleep or when we are in sleep state, then our mind is out the way. So there is no judgment there for us in that conscious way. So the spirit loved ones can communicate so much clearer because our mind doesn't judge that information. So you will always receive visits through dream state from spirit. And it's one of the clearest ways, actually. And I know that people really want that, because you feel euphoric after it, because you know you've been with that person.
That is beautiful. What about, I know I've had premonitions about death, and it kind of prepared me. At first, I didn't know where to put it when I would have a dream about someone. And I'm like, wait a minute, that person is alive. Spirit told me, give them flowers now. And I woke up and I'm like, what? And I sent the person some roses in a photo. And the person passed away like a month or so later. And I was like, my God, it was like I was getting kind of a message. So can you speak to that before we go on break?
Yeah, I mean, it's a it's a vast subject actually, but premonitions or, receive it. Now, there's two ways. You could have received that straight from your spirit guides and they were giving you the heads up that this was going to happen. Other times, premonitions are more messages from our own soul. And then, we're able to take the message from that and carry it forward.
Okay. All right. Well, Karen, I'm excited about our third segment, but right now we have to take a brief commercial break. So for our listeners, don't go away. We'll be right back with more on bridging the visible and invisible world with our internationally renowned medium and mentor, woman with spirit, Karen Docherty, joining us today from Scotland. Karen is taking live calls from listeners. And if you have pressing questions, take advantage of this wonderful opportunity. USA callers dial 1-888-346-9141. International callers 001-480-553-5760. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Vicki Winterton and Dr. Jean Marie Farish have compiled a dynamic book, We're All in This Together, Embrace One Another, an anthology with 24 highly diverse co-authors who share how to spread the message of love, resilience, inclusivity, and compassion. This book is an invaluable source of uplifting, inspiring, and positive insights for spreading positivity in the world. We're All in This Together, Embrace One Another is available on Amazon.com. Be sure to get your copy today.
I'm Judy Satori. I'm a spiritual channel and activator of human potential. You might have heard me speaking on the Voice of America on Dr. Jean Farish's show, Love Light, because I've been speaking about the challenges that are besetting all of us right now and how we can surrender but also keep on going. I want to invite you to join my new Facebook group that is devoted to heart-centered connection and unity. Through this Facebook group, you can also join my free access question and answer session with Spirit on the first Wednesday to Thursday of every month. Just search Ascension Community on Facebook to join the group. In this session, I answer questions and transmit energy from Spirit to give you guidance and support. Because life on planet Earth ain't easy right now. And there is so much help from above, from beings of love and light, from multidimensional realities who are actually here with us, wanting to step up and support us. I welcome you to become part of our ongoing group conversation about evolutionary change and how it's affecting us as human beings and affecting our life today. Many blessings to you. You can find out more about me and my work at www.ascensionlibrary.org. Have a wonderful day.
Dr. Jean Marie Farish is proud to announce the release of her new book, Living in the Spirit of Love, Our Natural State of Being, available now at Balboa Press. This book will help you master your life and flourish in love. You'll learn how to become a better and more evolved you. Feel good by making life-affirming choices. Deepen your feelings and expressions of love. Tune in love and sustain the change. And flourish in love and find your joy. Visit BalboaPress.com and search for Living in the Spirit of Love and enjoy Dr. Farish's new book today. Announcing Dr. Jean Marie Farish's new book, Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations. This is the companion piece to Dr. Farish's best-selling book, Living in the Spirit of Love, Our Natural State of Being. Through the new book, we invite you to cultivate a lifestyle of love through daily devotional practices over a 21-day period, following 9 ingredients in the recipe of love. Love Mastery Devotion Journal, 21-day weekly prompts and affirmations is available on Amazon.com and Balboa Press. Best-selling Authors International news honors best-selling authors around the globe. Dr. Jean Marie Farish is featured in the newly released issue of Published Magazine. To have first access to this treasured resource, go to PublishedMagazine.com.
Jean Marie Farish's Center for Conscious Loving, LLC, cultivates a lifestyle of love and wholehearted connections through personal growth, altruistic services, and speaking engagements. Resources include classes, workshops, life care coaching, and creative service projects with an emphasis on cultural arts. Visit the website at drjeanmariefarish-consciousloving.com. That's Jean Marie Farish-consciousloving.com. Or click the link on the Love Light show page.
You are tuned in to Love Light with Dr. Jean Marie Farish. Feel free to connect with our program through email or check out our links on Facebook. Reach Jean at Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. That's Jean72Farish@yahoo.com. And now, back to Love Light.
Welcome back to Love Light, living in the spirit of love. And if you're just joining us, we are with our amazing guest, Karen Docherty, internationally renowned medium and mentor, woman with spirit, joining us today from Scotland on our show, Bridging the Invisible World. And Karen, before we left for a commercial break, we were talking about premonitions and you shared about being open. Let's continue a little bit with that talk, because many of our listeners, they may have those kinds of hits and don't know where to put them. And I think during break, I was telling you, with premonitions I've had, I didn't know where to put them years ago, and now I pay attention.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, isn't it? Is not knowing where to put them. And because we receive messages like that, sometimes it's messages that don't seem real, or messages that are random, or they don't make sense in that moment. And then it's not until after something happens that we say, oh, wow, that's what was meant by that. So I do think that there's a way to kind of connect with those messages and realize that those are messages from your spirit. So we are all spirit in human form, and our spirit can still receive or have knowledge of things that are up and coming, where it's something that might be traumatic, or it might give us a shock, or it might help someone. There's ways that our spirit will pick those messages up and then try to kind of transfer them into our mind, our conscious mind. But when it comes into our mind, of course, we tend to, as always, throw it away or not know where to put it, and we don't know what to think. So I think the best way that you can deal with those is just really when you feel something or you hear something or see something that makes no sense, that's totally random. It's not something you were thinking about. It's maybe during sleep time. It's maybe as you wake. It's maybe just during the day when you're at your work, at your desk. And it would be something that kind of makes no sense, and you couldn't have conjured that up within your mind. Then I would say to you at that point, believe that, take it that there's going to be a meaning, but don't be fearful of it. Don't sit and live in fear because of something. Just know that you are receiving that message for a reason. And it comes to mind when I'm telling you this, that when I had my son, who is now 16, when he was just a newborn baby, I kept having dreams, and I kept hearing, that there was going to be a fire, and just be careful. And I wasn't too perplexed in a way that I was feeling like, there's going to be a massive fire somewhere. But I was aware that this same message kept playing out, albeit in slightly different ways. And I think about after 2 weeks, I was in the kitchen, and at the time my husband was in a cupboard doing some work. And he had left a work lamp in there while he came out to get a drink of water or something. And all of a sudden, that feeling came over me, and I went out into the hallway, and there was a fire in the cupboard, but my newborn son was asleep in his basket within the bedroom right behind that. So I was able to get him, to take them out, tell the kids to, go in the garden until this was dealt with. But right then and there, I thought, that's what it was. And that was years before I developed my mediumship as well. So I think that our spirit tells us things in a way to warn us or just give us a heads up on something that's coming or to comfort us in some way. And really, we need to be more open to feeling that and hearing that.
That's beautiful, because those messages can help us with prevention and preparation.
Exactly. And I think as well, when you hear about people, like you mentioned, sending the roses to your friend, when we hear about things like, someone passed away, but right before they passed away, they called their wife and said, I love you, and I'll be home soon. And they don't normally do that. That's out of the ordinary. And then the person passes away. It's because that person's spirit knew that was going to happen. So in some way, it's urged that person to pick the phone up, just like your message urged you to send flowers. It's the same thing. Our spirit knows things, and our spirit is in touch with the spirit side of life. And so those, we call them premonitions, but, these visions or feelings come to us.
That's beautiful. It may not make sense. Like now for me, it's like it doesn't make sense, but I'm going to do it anyway. When Spirit says send flowers now, I'm like, okay. And it may have not made sense to the person, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to be obedient. And I'm so glad I did.
It's listening to that higher voice, isn't it? And even in life, we tend to go through life sometimes with our eyes closed and ears closed, and we don't really connect with that part of us that is our sat-nav, really. It's our sat-nav in this lifetime, our spirit. And our spirit knows what's for us, what's on our path, what's coming up, things that might be preventable, like you said. And until we really make that connection, sometimes we falter when there's times where we could have prevented that.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about your books and how to access them. Very beautiful topics: secrets of successful parenting, sibling rivalry, because a lot of times, let's say a sibling passes away and there was a lot of conflict, and you're showing us how to resolve conflict now, right? And we don't have to wait until someone passes away and feel that guilt or shame. So tell us a little bit about your books and maybe some tips to share with the parents and families.
I think that, like I said earlier, one thing that was important to me was this realization within my mediumship that we are spirit here first and foremost. So when life throws us curveballs, when things happen that are normal human elements, like falling out with people, differences, conflicts, all the things that every single human being has to deal with, and trying to kind of overcome those things whilst we are here, so that it prevents any ongoing feeling should something happen. Now, it's unrealistic to think that we can all do that. I think anyway, it's unrealistic to think that you're never going to have a fallout with someone or a difference of opinion. And it might, for different people, it's at different levels. Some people fall out and they're back speaking again 3 days later. Other people fall out and it can kind of just grow and grow and grow. And then before you know it, there's serious distance between people, whether that's siblings, whether that's family or friendships. And I think, nevertheless, what I want to reassure people about is I think that it can be healed on either side of the veil. So what I want to say to listeners today is that if you have had a conflict with someone and then they have passed away and you never got to resolve that, please don't worry about that in a sense that you think the person won't be at peace, because that loved one that's over on the other side will be working very, very hard to be around you, bring their presence around you, try and make that connection to you so that they can go forward and heal. Because I think that sometimes the thing that I came across with working with families and things is that people tend to think that they are either stopping the spirit person evolving and going forward, or it means that their life has to stop because they feel so much guilt or that was unresolved. Even if it's not about a conflict, even if it's about maybe not seeing that person before they passed away and having that last conversation, that's another one that comes up time and time again within my work. And it's always the same answers from spirit, that they're okay, but they want to resolve things. I think it would be idealistic to say that, some conflicts are easily resolved. And what I mean by that is I've had numerous clients over the years that maybe did have a conflict with someone that crossed over, but that they didn't want to resolve it in life, and they don't necessarily feel they want to resolve it even though the person's crossed over. But the spirit person still comes in, and that can be a tricky moment, really, from a medium's point of view, because really we know that we want to help the person heal that's in the spirit side, but we also want to respect the client's wishes here. And always in that position, I always say, just by an acknowledgement that they tried to come forward will bring healing in at some point, even if it's not today. Because I really wouldn't want any listeners to feel like everything has to be resolved right now so that everyone can get on with their life, because that's not kind of realistic either sometimes. So, I mean, there's lots of different avenues we can go with this, but the one thing I would say is, if you are worried about this or you have experienced this on some level, then please work at healing that in some respect, but also know that if it takes time, it takes time, and embrace the moments now. So prevent it if you can, but if you can't prevent it, if it's something that's not in your control and it's maybe someone else bringing that kind of energy around you, then, just love them, wish them well. They will come to their own realization too.
Okay. Well, Karen, how can listeners connect with you?
They can connect with me by coming to karenpsychic.com, where everything's detailed on that website for, personal consultations, mentorship and teachings and courses. Everything's on there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Have to have you back. You certainly have inspired us and enlightened us about this connection to the invisible world and knowing that healing is possible and there's guidance for each of us. Thank you so much. And for our listeners, connect with Karen and go deeper and access her resources. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Well, much gratitude to the Voice America team for making this show a reality and for shining their love light around the world. Lighten up, be gentle with yourself, treat yourself well, be attentive, and care for yourself and others. I'm Dr. Jean Marie, your Love Light host, coming to you from Voice America. And until we meet again, remember, an empowered self is a loving self, and keep your love light shining. Thank you so much for tuning in, and listen on demand and share our show with others.
Thank you for listening to Love Light this week. Be sure to join Dr. Jean Marie Farish again for another program next Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and noon Eastern Time on the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Have a wonderful week filled with love, self-worth, and better connections.